What's going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. Uh, it's a crazy time to be a college football fan right now. I mean, the Pac-12 just imploded. There's only 4 teams left in the Pac-12 right now, and I mean, it doesn't look like there's anything the Pac-12 is going to be able to do to even remotely claw back the damage that was done to their conference, with basically every team that mattered or every big market team leaving. Now, if you're paying attention to Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's called now, it's an interesting, caustic environment. But there's a clip of Missouri's head coach when he was asked about conference realignment as it relates to the student athletes. I just want to give a listen to a small snippet of that.
We're talking about a football decision they based off football, but what about softball and baseball who have to travel cross country? Do we ask about the cost of them? Do we know what the number one indicator of symptom of or cause of mental health is? It's lack of rest and sleep. Traveling in those baseball, softball games, you know, those people, they travel commercial. They get done playing at 4. They got to go to the airport. They come back. It's 3 or 4 in the morning. They got to go to class. I mean, did we ask any of them? Are we going to look back? I don't worry at all about the game. The game is going to be.
So I think that's a really good point. And it sounds somewhat familiar because I think a certain YouTuber brought this point up and everyone said he was an idiot for it. Let's see here. Let's go over here. You know, if you're going to have these ridiculous travel schedules for conference games, you know, you might be traveling, you know, across country 6 weeks out of your season. Like, that's got to be tough for your school schedule, right? You might have to leave. So Missouri's coach brought up kind of the full circle between these two things of, you know, we're all chasing the money. And by we, I just mean generally all these teams in college football. They're all chasing the money. And anytime you see these big decisions and swooping changes come in, I don't care what it is. If it's legislation, change in processes at a company, whatever, there's unintended consequences to that. And there's no way anytime you make major changes that you're going to be able to map out and see into the future of how everything is going to affect what's around it. And I think this is a really good question, and I'm glad that coach brought it up of what does this mean not only for football, but all these other players. Like baseball plays way more games, basketball plays way more games, softball, all these other sports. And it's not a money thing. Obviously, football funnels or funds the money for all of these other programs, except for basketball, maybe baseball, at a very select few schools. All of those other programs lose money. Football funds the rest of it. Set the money aside. I mean, imagine having to travel cross country for half of your season. These other seasons are longer, or have more games than football. Imagine being jet lagged, you know, for half of a semester. He talked about getting in at 3 a.m, having to turn around, be back for class the next day. And he talks about, you know, one of the major causes of mental health issues is lack of rest, sleep deprivation, being overworked. Are we going to see, you know, maybe an epidemic of just, I don't know what you'd call it, mental angst, mental health issues amongst college athletes due to these conference, realignment. USC goes to the Big Ten, so they're going to have to fly cross country to play Michigan. Teams like this, it's tough. And the other thing, I think, like we have to decide is, are these student athletes? Are these really student athletes? Because if you're going to have schedules like this, where obviously he brings up football, they have their own thing. They have chartered flights. They'll be fine, and that's true. But these kids taking commercial flights, it's going to, eliminate certain majors from playing Division I sports, because engineering majors, hard math, the STEM sciences are probably, you're not going to be able to study that if you're a student athlete, because it's so intensive on your time. You can't play sports and do that. So if there's certain majors that are eliminated, like, are you really a student athlete? Especially for football, with how demanding it is. And it's already this way, and I get it. And a bunch of people are going to say, well, Rec, you're just mad because, Georgia Tech will probably be left out if the ACC folded today, which I don't know is the case. But fine, I'll give you all that. That's fine. Fine. That doesn't address, though, the issue that I'm bringing up. And I'm just concerned, like this guy saying that this is just not what's best for the student athlete. And I don't just mean financially. Like, keep in mind, these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are all of a sudden being thrown into something that's really much more akin to a profession. I mean, I interviewed a guy named Joseph Gilbert that played on the 2009 Georgia Tech ACC championship team. And I asked him, like, and keep in mind, we're talking, several years ago. How much time did you spend, like, between academics and football a week? Not anything for yourself, not any, like, leisure thing. I'm just talking about academics and football. And it was like 70, 80 hours a week, like 30 to 35 hours of school. Now, that's probably different at places that aren't Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech doesn't have an easy major to put kids in, but that's another topic for another video. And then at least 40, 45 hours a week football. And that's just practice time. I don't know that really includes if you're traveling 6 hours each way cross country to a conference game. The other thing he brought up that I think is very important is when a kid decides to go to a school, a lot of times, regionality is involved and his parents can easily get him to the games. Now, maybe NIL dwarfs that, but there's a select few kids that are going to get enough NIL money probably to just fly their parents cross country 6, 7, 8 weeks out of the year. So I don't want to just go on and on about it. Like, this isn't, I know a lot of people are just going to trash me or whatever. That's fine. But, like, I don't know if you can tell by the tone of my voice and the tone of this video. There's no green screen. Like, it's like 5 a.m. I'm recording this video. I'm seriously concerned for what this might mean for student athletes. So tell me what you think. Am I off base? Are you concerned? Do you think me or him are just off base in our take? I'd love to hear what you have to say. Also, did a really good show with C-Dog last night. It's the last live show we did. I think it's the best show we've ever done. If you're interested in conference realignment, we angle it more toward what that means for Georgia Tech. Check out that video as well. And you guys keep keeping on. I'll talk to you later.